Hey Leo. Hey Leo, Cyrus, Alyssa, Augustus, Benaya. Love y'all. Got a book for you guys. Let's see if I can open it. Let me see. Okay. It looks like you guys can see it. Hopefully this one goes through. All right. Today we're reading Magic Tree House, Tigers at Twilight. Sorry I went out of order. I couldn't find the next one. So I just picked the one with a tiger in it. Do you like tigers, Cyrus? Roar! Tigers at Twilight. Contents. Oh, Daddy liked this poem. Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy perfect symmetry? In what distant depth or sky burnt the fire of thine eye? On what wings dare thy aspire? What hand dare seize the fire? Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forest of the night, what immortal hand I would dare frame thy perfect symmetry? William Blake. That's a good one. Prologue. All right, can you guys see everything? Looks like you can. One summer day in Frog Creek, Pennsylvania, a mysterious treehouse appeared in the woods. Jack, 8-year-old Jack and his 7-year-old sister Annie climbed into the treehouse. They found it was filled with books. Jack and Annie soon discovered that the treehouse was magic. It could take them to places in the books. All they had to do was point to a picture and wish to go there. Along the way, Jack and Annie discovered that the treehouse belonged to Morgan Le Fay. Morgan is a magical librarian from the time of King Arthur. She travels through time and space, gathering books. In books 1 through 5, Jack and Annie help free Morgan from a spell. In books 9 through 12, they solve ancient mysteries and riddles and become master librarians. I think we're going to... In Magic Treehouse books 13 through 16, Jack and Annie save 4 ancient stories from being lost forever. In Magic Treehouse books 17 through 20, Jack and Annie must be given 4 special gifts to help free an enchanted dog from a spell. They have already received a gift on a trip on the Titanic and a gift from the Lekato Indians. Indians. Now they are about to set out on the search for their third gift. Chapter 1. You ready for this, Cyrus? All right. Jack and Annie walked past Frog Creek Woods on their way home from the library. I miss Teddy, said Annie. Me too, said Jack. He's a really smart dog, said Annie. Yeah, said Jack. And brave. And wise, said Annie. And funny, said Jack. And here, said Annie. What? Said Jack. Here. Annie pointed at the Frog Creek Woods. A small dog with tan-colored fur peeked out from the bushes. Arf, arf, he barked. Oh, wow, said Teddy. All right, wow, Teddy, said Jack. The little dog ran into the woods. Let's go, said Annie. She and Jack raced after Teddy. The Frog Creek Woods glowed with late afternoon sunlight. The dog ran between the trees and finally stopped at a rope ladder. It hung from the tallest oak tree and led up to the magic treehouse. Teddy waited for Jack and Annie to catch up. He panted and wagged his tail. "Hi, you!" cried Annie. She picked up the little dog and hugged him. "We miss you." "Yeah, silly," said Jack. He kissed Teddy. Teddy licked his face. "It's time to get our third gift," said Annie. Teddy sneezed, as if of saying, "Of course. Of course." Annie grabbed the rope ladder and started up. Jack put Teddy into his backpack and followed. They climbed into the treehouse. There was a note from Morgan Le Fay. It was on the floor, just where it had been 2 days ago. Jack let Teddy out of his pack, and he picked up the note and read, "This little dog is under a spell and needs your help. To free him, you must be given 4 special things: a gift from a ship lost at sea, a gift from a pirate blue, from the pirate blue. Waiting. A gift from a forest far away, and a gift from a kangaroo. Be wise, be brave, be careful. Morgan." Jack touched the first 2 gifts, which had already gotten in his pocket from the Titanic. He already got a pocket watch from the Titanic and an eagle feather from the Lakota Indians of the Great Plains. Now we have to get the gift that from the forest far away, said Annie. "I wonder how far away," said Jack. "I know how far away," said Annie. How far out? "I know how to find out," said Annie. Where's our book? Where's our book?" She and Jack looked around the treehouse for one of the research books that Morgan always left them. "Arf, arf!" Teddy pawed the book in the corner. Jack picked it up and read the title, "Wildlife in India." "India? Did you know Mommy used to live in India? That's crazy." "Yeah. Let's see how dangerous India is." "Oh man, India," he said. "That's very far away. Let's get going," said Annie, "so we can free Teddy." Jack pointed to the cover of the book. "I wish I could go there." The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still, absolutely still. But only for a moment. Bum, bum, bum. Chapter 2. Ka and Ko. The warm air burst with the sound. "Cuckoo! Ee! Ah! Wah!" "What's going on?" said Jack, and he looked out the window. The sky was lit by an orange glow, and the sun went as the sun went down. The treehouse was in a tree by the stream at the edge of the forest. The wild screeching and squalling came from the forest's tall, leafy trees. Just then, 2 creatures leaped onto the windowsill. "Ah!" Jack and Annie yelled and jumped back. Annie burst out laughing. "Arf, arf!" Teddy barked. 2 small monkeys peered in at them. Their dark faces were framed with light, furry gray fur. They looked as if they were wearing tiny parkas. "Hi," said Annie. "I'm Annie. He's Jack. He's Teddy. What are your names?" "Cuckoo! Cuckoo!" the monkeys chattered. "Cool," said Annie. She turned to Jack. "Her name is Ka, and his name is Cool." "Oh, brother." "I bet he's her brother," said Annie. Ka and Cool whooped as if they laughed at Annie's joke. Their yellowed eyes twinkled. When We came to get a gift from the forest, said Annie. Do you know where we can find it? The monkeys nodded and chattered. Then they started down the tree. Using their tails and arms, they swung from branch to branch as they jumped to the ground and looked up. Coming, bring Teddy, Jack, said Annie. She started down the ladder. Jack quickly flipped through the wildlife of India. He found a picture of the gray monkeys. It read, "This monkey is called a langur. Say lungru. Lungru. The word lungru means having a long tail." Jack pulled his notebook and pencil out of his backpack and he wrote, "Lungru means long tail." Annie laughed. Annie's laughter came from below. It blended with the sound of the forest. "Arf, arf," barked Teddy. Okay, said Jack. He put the book, his notebook, and Teddy into his pack. He hurried down the ladder. Annie was playing with the langurs on the stream bank. Jack put Teddy on the ground. Ka bounded over to Jack and grabbed his hand. The langur paw felt like a tiny little human hand. Ka pulled Jack towards the forest. Ku pulled Annie, and Teddy scampered after them. The langurs climbed the huge leafy tree. Then they began swinging from branch to branch, like kids on a jungle gym. Annie dashed beneath the swinging monkeys. Teddy ran after her. Wait, Jack called. Hurry after them. Annie, slow down. We don't know anything about this place. The langurs slowed down as if they understood Jack's words. Jack caught up with Annie as they walked on through the forest. This is so amazing, said Annie. Jack agreed. The sunset gave the trees a fiery glow. The hot air smelled sweet. This is where your mommy grew up. Did you know mommy lived in India? Yeah, she didn't really live in the forest, but she lived there. And yeah. Maybe you guys get to go see, and we'll be able to go see India sometime. Maybe. We'll see. Blue peacocks spread their tails. Yellow birds flew from tree to tree. Small deer ate red flowers in the clearing. It's like a paradise, said Annie. Yeah, but don't forget the title of our book, Wildlife of India, said Jack. Wildlife means scary animals, too. Jack noticed long, deep gashes through a tree as they walked by. He stopped. What happened here? Said Jack. And he shrugged and kept walking. Jack pulled out his book, and there was a picture of a tree with gashes. He read aloud. Tigers sharpen their claws on tree trunks. They leave big gashes in the bark. What? Annie said. She stopped and looked back at the tree. See what I mean? Said Jack. Tigers live here, and one of them just came this way. Ooh, scary. A tiger. Ugh. Life or Death, Chapter 3. Tigers, said Annie. Cool. Jack read more. A wild tiger eats almost 5,000 pounds of fresh raw meat each year. Whoa, not so cool, said Annie. Jack went on. Tigers usually leave elephants alone, and like many smaller cats, tigers often avoid wild dogs. Teddy growled. Row. Wild dogs, not a shrimp like you, Jack said to Teddy. A tiger will eat you in a minute. Teddy growled again. Row. Just then, Caw and Coo began hooting. Coo, coo, coo. The peacocks cried, coo, caw, quack. The deer made a short barking sound and stamped their hooves. What's going on? Said Annie. We better put Teddy in my pack, said Jack, to keep him safe. Teddy slipped in. Jack slipped the dog into his pack. Teddy poked his head out of the top. All set, Jack said. The little Jack asked the little dog. Teddy growled again. Ruh. This time, a deep, fierce growl answered back to them. It seemed to be surrounding them. Ooh, scary. Jack's hair stood on end. Yikes, said Annie. A tiger, said Jack. Arf, arf. Caw and coo screeched at Jack and Annie from the tree. They want us to join them, said Annie. Come on. She grabbed a branch and climbed up. Jack's hands were shaking, but he put his backpack on. He grabbed a tree branch and pushed off the ground. He pulled himself into the tree. Another growl shook the forest. Scary. Goo, goo, goo. The Lungays climbed higher up the tree. Jack and Annie followed them, climbing from branch to branch. The sky above was no longer glowing. A bright orange had faded into a twilight gray. Jack looked down. He couldn't see the ground at all. He listened for another scary roar. The only cries of the frightened forest creatures, only the cries of the frightened forest creatures filled the air. Maybe the tiger's gone, said Annie. Jack glanced at Caw and Coo. The Lungus cuddled together. Their dark faces looked worried. Maybe not, said Jack. How can we get through the forest without running into him, said Annie. That's a problem, said Jack. And it's getting dark. Soon we won't be able to see anything. Caw and Coo hooted again. They pointed down the tree trunk. Arf, arf, Teddy barked from Jack's pack. Do you see the tiger? Jack asked. His heart thumped again. He couldn't see anything but the leaves and the branches. Then far below, he saw the trunk of the tree move. A snake, said Annie. The snake was slithering around the trunk. It had black and tan marks. The snake's body was thick as a tree trunk. A python, breathed Jack. The python kept crawling up the tree. Is it poisonous? Asked Annie. Jack pulled out his book. By the last light of the day, he found a picture of a python. He read aloud. The python is not poisonous. Whew, said Annie. Not so fast, said Jack. He read more. It kills its prey. To kill its prey, the python squeezes it to death, then swallows it whole. The python can swallow an animal the size of a full-grown deer. Oh, yuck. This is more than just yuck, Annie. This is life or death. Caw and Coo chattered to Jack and Annie. Not now, said Jack. We have to think. The Lungus grabbed thick vines. They leaned back. Then they jumped out of the tree. The Lungars swung through the air like trapeze artists. They swung over bushes and tall grasses and landed on another tree. They screeched at Jack and Annie, waving their arms. I know what they're saying, Annie said. They want us to copy them. Whoa. Chapter 4. Swing time. Annie grabbed a vine. He looked back at the python. The giant snake was winding its way up the tree. It had almost reached their branch. Jack took a deep breath. Then he grabbed the vine too. Lean back, just like Cotton Coo did. And said Annie. Jack and Annie leaned back. 1, 2, 3, go, said Annie. They swung out of the tree. Jack felt his stomach drop. The air rushed by. The leaves and the branches slapped him. Then suddenly the tree shook with a great roar like a flame. A tiger leaped from the bushes. Ooh, scary. Scary. His yellow eyes blazed. His teeth shone like daggers. His claws barely missed Jack and Annie. Ah! They yelled. The tiger crashed back into the bushes. Jack and Annie swung into the lungus tree. Jack threw one leg out around the trunk. He let go of his vine and held on tightly to the branch. Oh man, said Jack. He was shocked. The lungus patted him as if they were making sure he was okay. Wow, that was fun, said Annie, sitting on a big branch. Fun? Are you nuts? Said Jack. The swinging was fun, said Annie. The tiger was scary. Just then the tree began to shake. Branches snapped below. Oh no, Jack said. Can tigers climb trees? Asked Annie. Probably, said Jack. He hugged the trunk and squeezed his eyes shut. From below he heard loud sounds of chewing and smacking and crunching. Teddy growled. Jack groaned. Now the tiger's eating the tree, he said, and he burst out laughing. Caw and Coo whooped as if they were laughing too. Arf, arf, barked Teddy. What? Said Jack, opening his eye. Look, and he pointed at the twilight. A thick gray tube was waving in the air. Another snake? Jack was horrified. No, an elephant trunk, said Annie. The trunk wiggled near Jack and Annie as if it was sniffing them. Then it picked up leaves from the tree and disappeared. Let's go see, Annie said. With Teddy still in his backpack, Jack followed Annie down to a lower branch. They peered out at the twilight forest. In the gray gloom, they saw a herd of elephants. One stood beneath their tree, eating leaves. Others munched grasses. Hey, I've got a real cool idea, said Annie. Chapter 5, Night Walk. Said Jack. What is it? I know how to escape the tiger, said Annie. Our book said tigers don't attack elephants, right? Yeah, said Jack. So we should travel through the forest on the back of an elephant, Annie said. Jack nodded slowly. That is a cool idea, he said. But no buts. I'll get on first, said Annie. She climbed down the tree until she was close to the elephant's back. She carefully lowered herself off the branch. When her feet rested on the elephant's back, she let go of the branch. Then she slowly sat down. The elephant let out a low rumble, then shifted her weight. Don't worry, it's just me, Annie said softly. She patted the huge creature's back. Thanks, Sarbar. Saba. Her name, that's her name, said Annie. She just told me. Right, said Jack. Arf, arf, barked Teddy. Come on, Jack, said Annie. It's not scary. Jack sighed and slowly climbed down the tree. When he was above Sarbar, he lowered himself. Saba. He lowered himself off the branch. He put his feet on the elephant. Then he carefully sat down in front of Annie. Saba rumbled again. Tell her not to worry, said Annie. Pat her head. Don't worry, Saba, Jack said. He patted the elephant's head. Her thick skin was rough and wrinkly. The elephant curled her trunk back and rested it on Jack's head. Hi, he said in a small voice. Saba flapped her ears. Cot and Coo swung to the ground in front of Saba. They chattered at her. She waved her trunk at them. The Lungrus began bounding through the forest. Saba followed. The rest of the herd followed in a line. Saba walked with a calm, rolling motion. Jack felt as if he were riding over ocean waves. A full moon was resting above the trees. Where are we going? Jack asked. Just relax, said Annie. Cot and Coo know where we're going. Arf, arf, barked Teddy from Jack's backpack. You relax too, Jack said to the little dog. Fireflies blinked. The moonlight lit a path between the trees as the elephants marched on. From the distant came a low. Is that the tiger? Jack wondered. The elephants paid no attention. They kept walking through the warm woods. They marched slowly under hanging vines through misty clearings. Cog and Coo bounded ahead of them, 2 moon shadows leading the way. We're going far from the treehouse, said Jack. Don't worry, said Annie. Suddenly, a long roar split the night. A chill went down Jack's spine. The roar came again. He turned to the growling. The yowling. The yowling turned into a steady moaning. Then suddenly, as if the forest were moaning. What? That's a really sad sound, said Annie sleepily. Yeah, said Jack, but the elephants marched on. Jack rocked the sleepy rhythm with Saba's walk. He could hear Teddy snoring in his backpack. Soon Jack rested on Saba's back. Soon Jack's head rested on Saba's back. He began drifting in and out of dreams of rocking on a boat under the dark treetops. Swamp creatures. Jack slowly came out of his dream. He opened his eyes and with a start. He was surrounded by hazy sunlight. Where am I? He thought in a panic. Then he remembered he was in India, on the back of an elephant. He sat up. Through the haze, he saw Saba was sitting on a muddy stream bank. Jack yawned. Where's Annie? The other elephants were upstream. They sprayed water out on each other with their trunks. Teddy, Cot, and Coo were at the edge of the forest. Teddy sniffed the tall grass. The Lungrus ate flowers. Good morning, called Annie. She was sitting on the big black rock downstream. She was barefoot and soaking wet. Hi, said Jack. How did you get down? Teddy and I slid off Saba into the mud, said Annie. I tried it, but throw down your sneakers and backpack first. Try it, but throw down your sneakers and backpack first. Annie went to Saba's side. Her feet were buried in mud up to her ankles. Jack threw his things to Annie. Then he patted Saba's rough, wrinkly skin. Thanks for the ride, he said. The elephant touched him one last time with her trunk. Jack slid down the side first and her side, feet first, and fell into the mud. He caught himself with his hands. They sank into the mud past his wrist. His glasses were splattered too. Wash it off in the stream, Annie said. She pulled Jack back and shoes on the rock. She put Jack's pack and shoes on the rock while Jack waded into the cool water. He washed the mud off his hands and feet. He rinsed off his glasses. Then he looked around. Sabao had joined the rest of the herd. The elephants looked beautiful in the morning mist. Everything looked beautiful. Yellow and blue water, birds spreading their wings, mossy hanging vines swayed in the breeze. Huge white flowers floated on top of the stream. Then Jack saw a strange sight. It looked like a horn and two ears sticking out of the water. One ear flicked away a fly. There's a weird creature out there, he called to Annie. It looks like it has a horn. Annie waded into the stream. I better check the book. He hurried to his pack, wiping his wet hands off on his t-shirt. He pulled out the India book. There was a picture of a horn stuck out of the water. He read, "The one-horned rhinoceros, or rhino, washes in the forest streams. Rhinos are not usually dangerous, but because they cannot see the well, they sometimes charge at things by mistake. A loud noise will usually stop them." Jack felt sorry for the rhino. Too bad animals can't wear glasses, he thought. He read more. The Indian rhino is a very endangered animal. This means that there's not many of them left. People called poachers kill them and sell their body parts as medicine and good luck charms. Jack started to take out his notebook. Just then, a slip swash sound came from the water. "Whoa," said Annie. Jack looked up. The rhino rose from the stream. It looked like an ancient swamp creature. "Whoa, man," said Jack. The rhino peered at Annie with his tiny eyes. He snorted, then lowered his head. His horn pointed right at Annie. "Make a noise," Jack yelled. Annie clapped her hands and shouted, "We come in peace." The rhino stopped and grunted. Then he sank back into the water. Annie laughed. "Phew," said Jack. "I better take some notes about that big guy." "Arf, arf," Teddy barked from the edge of the forest. "And I better get Teddy," said Annie. She hurried out of the stream and ran to get the dog. Jack pulled his notebook out and wrote, "One-horned rhino, an endangered animal, needs glasses." Jack shouted Annie. She raced towards him with Teddy at her heels. "Come quick. What's wrong?" he said. "We found something terrible." Annie was close to tears. "Really terrible." Trapped. Chapter 7. Trapped. Jack threw his things into his pack and followed Annie to the forest edge. Teddy stayed low, close to them, whining. Caw and Coo bounced around, chattering nervously. As Jack got closer, he saw a tiger. The tiger was laying on his side, completely still. His eyes were closed. His front paws were caught in a trap. "Is he dead?" "No," she breathed. "He's still breathing," Annie said, and a tear ran down her cheek. "He's worn out from struggling. He must have gotten caught last night. That's the sad sound we heard." "What can we do?" said Jack. Oop. Sorry. Let me make sure this is good. Okay. "We have to free him," said Annie. She started towards the tiger. Wait. Jack grabbed her. "Tigers eat people, you know." He took a deep breath. Let's see what the book says first. Hurry, said Annie. Jack opened the India book. He found a chapter called Tiger Traps. He read, poachers catch Indian tigers with steel traps. This is against the law. After trapping a tiger, they kill it and sell its body part for money. Like the rhino, the tiger is a very dangerous and very endangered species. If the killing does not end, they both face extinction. Extinction means that someday there may be no Indian tigers or rhinos left on Earth. Oh man, what do we do to save him? Said Jack. Under the writing, he saw a picture of a steel trap used to catch tigers. Jack studied it. It looked terrible and deadly. Okay, he said. He showed the picture to Annie. Here's a plan. I'll push down on this part. The trap will spring open, but then you pull out his leg. Got it? Got it. The little dog sat. The Lungars watched suddenly as Jack and Annie moved closer to the tiger. He was the most magnificent creature Jack had ever seen. His huge head was a dark orange color. He had perfect black and white stripes around his face. His legs in the ugly steel trap was bleeding. Slowly, silently, Jack pushed down the lever. He raised the bar of the tiger off the tiger's leg. The tiger kept sleeping. Suddenly, Annie freed the tiger's leg. She stroked his fur gently. Get well, she whispered. The tiger didn't move. Slowly, silently, Jack and Annie stood up. They turned around and they started tiptoeing back towards the Lungus. Coo, 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 warned Cotton Coo. Jack and Annie turned back. The tiger was on his feet. He stared right at them. His eyes seemed to glow. Jack looked about wildly. How could they escape? The tiger snarled at them. And then, silently, he started toward them. Don, don, don. Scary. Chapter 8. Wonder Dog. The huge tiger limped closer and closer to Jack and Annie. Jack clasped his hands. We come in peace. Clapped his hands. We come in peace, he said. But the tiger didn't turn away. His eyes blazed. His lip curled. Arf, arf. Teddy barked fiercely at Annie. Teddy says, run and hide, said Annie. She grabbed Jack and pulled him back over the bank. Wait, what about Teddy? He cried. Don't worry, said Annie. She pulled Jack down behind the black rock. What about Teddy? Jack said again. He's okay. He told me, said Annie. Jack heard Teddy's bark turn into a fierce growl. The growl grew louder and louder. That doesn't sound like Teddy, said Jack. Then suddenly there was silence, a strange silence. Teddy? Annie asked. Now she sounded worried. Annie raised her head. She and Jack peered over the rock. Teddy stood tall and brave in the grass. The tiger limped away. He disappeared between the trees. All of the forest seemed to be holding its breath until Annie broke the silence. Teddy, you're a wonder dog, she said. The Lungarus clapped and jumped around. Arf, arf! Teddy was just like a small, scruffy dog again. He wagged his tail and ran to Annie and Jack. Annie scooped him into her arms. You saved us. How did you drive the tiger away? Said Jack, rubbing Teddy's head. Did you turn into a wild dog? Teddy just panted and licked them both. Jack pushed his glasses into place and looked over the back of the forest. Looked back at the forest. Well, I guess we won't be getting a thank you gift from the tiger, he said. And he laughed. I guess not. I wonder where the gift is, and I wonder where the treehouse is, said Jack. Ka and Coo chattered at Jack. They bounded down the bank, waving their arms. They want us to follow them again. And he said, come on. She and Jack grabbed their things off the rock. They hurried down the stream after the langoose. The water shimmered in the early light. The silverfish leaped into the air. Teddy bounced ahead of Ka and Coo. Soon they disappeared around the bend. Jack and Annie followed them. When they went around the bend, they saw a man sitting cross-legged on a rock. The Lungar sat close to him. The man's eyes were closed. He had long white hair and a long beard. His skin was brown. He looked very peaceful. Ka and Coo Chapter 9, The Hermit. Ka and Coo smoothed the man's hair with their little paws and patted his cheek gently. The man smiled and whispered at the Lungaroos. His eyes stayed closed. Teddy walked up to the man and licked his hand. The man didn't open his eyes, but he stroked Teddy's fur. Knock, knock, Annie said softly. Is someone there? The man asked. He turned his face towards Jack and Annie. Now his eyes were open, but he didn't seem to see them. Jack realized that the man was blind. Hi, I'm Annie, said Annie. And I'm Jack, said Jack. The blind man smiled. Good, he said, nodding. Would you like to visit with me? Sure, said Annie. She and Jack sat down next to the man. Do you live in this forest? Annie asked. Yes, he said. Are you a hermit? Said Jack. Yes, said the blind man. What's a hermit? Said Annie. Hermits live far away from other people, the blind man said. We like to be alone to think. I live in the forest so I can learn from nature. How do you learn? Asked Jack. I listen, said the blind man. Listen to what? Asked Jack. To the chattering of the monkeys, the rumble of the elephant, the roar of the tiger, said the man. I've listened for so long that they have all begun to sound like one voice, the one great voice of the forest. Did the voice tell you that the tiger was caught in the trap last night? Asked Annie. Yes, the hermit said. And did it tell you that after we saved him, he tried to attack us? The blind man smiled. Please bring me one of those white flowers floating on top of the stream, he said. Jack wondered why the hermit was changing the subject, but Annie jumped up and hurried to the stream. She pulled at one of the large flowers. It came up, muddy roots and all. She took it to the blind man. Thank you, he said. The man touched the flower's large white petals and its dirty roots. This perfect lotus blossom grows from dark, thick mud, he said. This beauty cannot live without the ugliness. Do you understand? Yes, said Jack and Annie. When you saved the tiger, you saved all of them, he said the blind man. You saved his graceful beauty and his fierce, savage nature. You cannot have one without the other. Oh, right, said Jack. Take this lotus as a thank you gift from the forest for saving our fierce friend, said the blind man. Our world would not be complete without him. And he took the gift from the hermit. A gift from a forest far away, she said. Arf, arf, Teddy wagged his tail. The langoose clapped. We can go home now, said Jack. If we can just find the way. Don't worry said the blind man. Your tree house is in the house in the tree is close by. The elephants walked in a large circle. So you are back at the place where you started. Really? Said Jack. The blind man pointed to the sky. There was a magic tree house high in a nearby tree. Oh, great, breathed Jack. I told you not to worry, said Annie. She and Jack pulled on their socks and shoes and stood up. Before they left, Annie touched the hand of the blind man. Thanks for everything, she said. The man held her hand for a moment. He took Jack's hand. Jack felt a wave of calm wash over him. Thank you, he said to the blind man. Ka and Koos chattered and held out their arms. Jack and Annie hugged the two Lungus. We'll miss you, said Annie. You were great tour guides, said Jack. Goodbye. He and Annie ran off for the magic treehouse with Teddy, scampering after them. At the rope ladder, Jack put Teddy into his pack and climbed up. Annie carried the lotus blossom as she followed him. Inside the treehouse, Jack picked up the Pennsylvania book, but before he made a wish, he looked out the window with Annie. In the distance, they saw Saba and the other elephant bathing in the stream. They saw Ka and Ku swinging in the vines. They saw the tiger sunbathing in the grass, licking his sore leg. They saw tiny deer grazing. They saw bright birds in the trees. They saw a blind man sitting in front of his cave. He was smiling. Jack opened the book and pointed to the picture of the Frog Creek woods. I wish I could go home, he said. The treehouse started to spin. The wind started to blow. It blew harder and harder. The treehouse started to spin. The wind started to blow. It blew harder and harder. Then everything was still, absolutely still. Chapter 10. Who are you really? Jack opened his eyes. Late afternoon sunlight shined into the treehouse. Our third gift, said Annie. She put the lotus blossom beside the pocket watch from the Titanic and the eagle feather from the Lake Oto Indians. One more gift, she said to Teddy, and you'll be free from your spell. The little dog licked her hand. Hey, tell me this, said Jack. How did you know Teddy wanted us to hide behind the rock? And he shrugged. I just knew, she said. I think I saw it in his eyes. You did? Jack looked into Teddy's eyes. The little dog tilted his head and stared back at Jack. Teddy's eyes twinkled as if they held many secrets. Who are you really? Whispered Jack. Teddy just smiled, a doggy smile, and wagged his tail. Come for us again soon. And he said, okay. Teddy sneezed, as if saying, of course. Jack grabbed his pack. Then he and Annie climbed down the rope ladder. Then they stood on the ground. They looked up. A little black nose poked out of the treehouse window. Bye, they called. Arf, arf. Jack and Annie took off between the trees. The birds sang in the twilight. The squirrels scampered playfully through the leaves. The Frog Creek woods were very tame after the forest in India. Soon they came to their street. As they walked to the house, the last bit of daylight slipped away. Before they went inside, Jack and Annie sat on the steps. I have 2 questions, said Jack. If the hermit couldn't see, how did he know about the treehouse? And how did he know that we had traveled all night with the elephants? Easy, said Annie. The one great voice of the forest told him. Said Jack. He closed his eyes for a moment and listened. He heard a car Going down the street, he heard a woodpecker pecking. He heard crickets chirping. He heard screen doors opening. He heard Mom saying, "Time for dinner, kids." All the sounds were like one great voice, the one great voice of home. The end. Well, Leo, Cyrus, Alyssa, Augustus, Benaiah, I love you all. I miss you so much. And Mommy, thank you for taking care of them. And I hope to see you guys soon. And Cyrus, it's almost your birthday. I love you, bud. And I love all you guys. Also, for anybody else listening to this, I pray that God brings you close to your parents and that you're able to feel close to them. God, just bless us now and bless my family and help us to stay connected, stay one, stay like this. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I love y'all. Good night.